Hello students, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to start second chapter from OCM, that is Principles of Management. So before starting this chapter, let us go through the introduction. Now, what is Principles of Management? Generally, principles means rules or code of conduct which we need to follow. So Principles of Management means those principles which are good or optimum for management. Let us check the introduction. From last many years, ideology of management has been presented through different form of approaches. Various management gurus from Frederick Taylor to Henry Fayol, Gilbreth, Max Weber, Peter F. Drucker, C.K. Prahlad played an important role in rendering various principles to make it as per the era. So, from the names of these management gurus, we can come to one conclusion that principles of management is not output of one of the or two of the management gurus. Principles of management are different from different perspectives of different management gurus. So we'll be seeing in this chapter. Now, what is the meaning of principles? If we say in simple words, it means some rules, principles are required for making comfortable man behavior in business unit, and these principles are called principles of management. Means rules, principles which are required for making man behavior comfortable in business unit are called principles of management. Talking about the concept, management principles have direct relationship with human behavior. Management principles are directly connected with human behavior. Hence, there is a space for addition of new principles with the change from time to time. This is important line. There is space for addition of new principles which changes from time to time. So as soon as the changes in time comes, changes in human behavior comes, management principles can get changed. For an example, uh, earlier the outcome of COVID-19 or Corona, the all the industries were working from the same place, so the management principles were according to it. But as soon as you all know that currently lockdown is there in whole country, so some of the industries or some of the sectors are allowing work from home. So to manage them, their principles would be different. So if this continues for a longer period of time, they need to develop the managements according to the work from home policies. So management principles are do always have a space for addition of new principles from time to time. Management principles are detailed and particular guide for decision making and its implementation. Okay. Now coming to nature or characteristics. First is universal acceptance. Principle of management can be applied to most of the business units. However, implementation of all the principles may change as per type, form, activity and size of business. Every business needs principle of management, but it is not sure that every principle will be used. Principles will be used as per their type, form, size, activity, but yes, every business unit needs principle of management. Next is flexible. Principles of management are not rigid conclusion, but it is flexible. As per the situation, when a manager requires, there is a scope of flexibility. Means principle of management are to be used as per the business unit. For example, we talked about this lockdown and work from home. If the industry is not allowing work from home, their business principles will be different. But for the industries or sector allowing work from home, their business principles or management principles will be different. So the managers can make changes according to their needs. So it is flexible. It is not rigid. Next is general guidelines. Principle of management are the result of experience. This is important. What is principle? Result of experiences gained by different experts in different situations. Thus, principle of management could not be strictly applied for each unit, but can get desired result by accepting the principles as only guidance and using them in favorable situations. We cannot implement principles of management in each unit strictly because it is results of experiences, but if adopted in favorable situations, it will give a favorable outputs. Clear? Next is based on human behaviors. Principles of management have direct relationship with human behavior. As the human behavior is psychological phenomenon, it is necessary to consider while implementing principles of management. Principles are to be applied on human beings, so it is directly connected with human behavior. Next is contingency. Contingency is one of the elements to apply the principles of management. Achievement of goal can be made easier by unit by taking required decisions through uses of this principle in certain unavoidable situations. Principles of management can be used in contingency situations or unavoidable situations also. Means if the unavoidable situations or if in any emergency situations arises, with the help of principles of management, required decisions can be taken. Clear? Okay, now coming to importance of principles of management. Principles of management provides a vision to managerial behavior and highly affect the management works. Its importance can be described as follows. What is the first importance? Obviously, it is for management, so it will increase managerial efficiency. Principle of management is providing guidelines to managers to perform tasks. It provides guidelines to manager to perform how the tasks to be performed, how the situation to be handled. So it increases the managerial efficiency. It increases the managerial efficiency. Next is effective administration. Mostly availability of the human and physical resources are limited in a business unit. It is unavoidable to make its maximum uses. The minimum of maximum meaning of maximum here means getting maximum benefit with minimum costing. This is the problem in the sectors or in the industries where principles of management are not applied or not adopted. For them, maximum means to the fullest, and if we are going to the fullest, there are possibilities of getting exploitation. For example, a worker can work 12 hours a day continuously. So if principles are not applied, the sector or the business unit will ask him to work 12 hours, and what will happen? If he works for 12 hours, the worker will be exploited. But where principles of management is applied, either they will ask for 7 to 8 hours of work, but that too with maximum strength, so output would be more compared to 12 hours of work. Clear? This is the best example for this is on you guys only. Within last 2 years you have been working with two different time hours for your study. So when time hours of study was reduced, or it was for example 7 to 1, you can observe that for the same period you were having more enthusiasm, but when it comes to 8 to 4, your mental strength comes down. Oh, we have to sit till 4. Same is with this. So getting maximum benefit with minimum costing it. Next is helpful for decision making. Management principles provide a key role for taking appropriate decisions. Using management principles, scientific and logical decisions can be made appropriately. Using principles of management, scientific and logical decisions can be made appropriately, timely, without being partial and unbiased. Next is to cope up with changing business environment. Management principles are an ordinary guide, but they are necessary to meet business environments in changing circumstances. As we read earlier, these gets updated from time to time as per the needs. So they make us uh, adopted with the business environment or changing business needs to fulfill social responsibility. Business is indivisible part of community. Profit is the aim, but development and progress of society are also aims of business unit. By effective implementation of management principles, business unit can achieve easily aim of social responsibility. Means it is the principle of management only which help us to achieve aim of social responsibility. And last importance, useful for research and training and development. Only by using management principles, task of training, education and development is possible. Management principles are main part of management's thoughts, which are useful for every research, training and development program of the unit. So these were the importance of principles of management. Now, one of the important topic which is frequently asked in examination, thoughts of management. Now, what is thoughts of management? Principles, opinion and thoughts given by several management gurus are together known as management thoughts. Those management gurus name which we come across earlier, the thoughts that they have presented are known as thoughts of management. These thoughts are outcome of several researches, studies and applications. These thoughts have led to the development of so many branches and sub branches. Now basically four major types of thoughts are there. First one is thoughts of classical theory, then came thoughts of neoclassical theory, then thoughts related to human behavior, and then thoughts of modern management. Now first one is thoughts of classical theory. Okay. Now what was thoughts of classical theory? All those thoughts which were presented by any of the management guru till the end of 19th century are known as thoughts of classical theory. Means thoughts till the end of 19th century and before it are known as thoughts of classical theory. Now who are the major management gurus who contributed? Frederick Taylor, Max Weber, Gilbreth, Henry Gant, Henry Fayol were the main promoters of thoughts of classical theory. The principles of scientific management presented by Frederick Taylor exist in the theory of management even today. It favors scientific principles by time and motion study rather than relying on traditional methods. Means out of this, from the classical theory portion, the suggestions of Frederick Taylor are still used and through the method of time and motion studies, and he told that rather relying on traditional methods we should go for time and study motion method that will come across in further sessions in this chapter only. Henry Fayol also gave certain general principles of management. He also provided universal principles of management as guideline for performing managerial duties at different levels. By the end of 19th century, formats and size of industry started growing due to industrial revolution. The classical theory proved to be less effective on these large industries, and so there arise a need of changes in these principles. This is important. Why we need to change or why we need to move to neoclassical theory from classical theory? Because by the end of 19th century or as soon as the end of 19th century, the industries started developing. The industries started changing their formats, their size. So the need of new changes in this principle arise because these changes somehow proved to be less effective in the new form of industries. Clear? Then comes the thoughts of neoclassical theory. What are thoughts of neoclassical theory? Let us see. We all know that it came to remove some limitations of classical theories that were not that much effective. So let us check. To remove some limitations of classical theory, some management experts made changes to the existing principles and established new approaches. These new approaches or principles were called neoclassical theory. In the start of 20th century, by the end of 19th century, classical theory was there. So in the start of 20th century, Australian industrial psychologist Elton Mayo gave a new birth to behavior oriented thoughts. Hence he is known as promoter of thoughts of neoclassical theory. Elton Mayo is known as promoter of thoughts of neoclassical theory. Thoughts of neoclassical theory emphasizes on behavioral approach and group behavior. 19th century, it was the lots of management gurus, but for neoclassical theory, Elton Mayo was the promoter of thoughts of neoclassical theory, and it emphasizes more on behavioral approach and group behavior. Later on, additions were made which included informal organization, human behavior, human relations, inspirations, etc. Other than Elton Mayo's Herzberg, Rensis Likert, Maslow, etc. were the main contributors of theory of neoclassical theory. Okay. Then third one is thoughts related to human behavior. Management is an art of getting work done from others, that is humans. Keeping in mind these thoughts, consider human behavior as a main part of management. Professor Urvik, this is important. It is asked in 1 mark or 2 mark. Professor Urvik said You manage your man will manage rest of all. And this is somewhat core of the thoughts related to human behavior. Professor Rubik said, you manage your man and your man will manage rest of all. Here man means your employees. So you manage your employees, you make your employees happy, and your employees will manage everything rest for you. They will work for you, they will manage rest of all for you. Concepts like interhuman relationship, motivation, leadership, information, communication process, disposal of industrial disputes are included in behavior related thoughts. The human relation, motivation, leadership, communication, information passage, industrial dispute, how to solve industrial disputes, all these are included in thoughts related to human behavior, or we can say behavior related thoughts. One of the biggest drawbacks of this approach is that it focuses on psychological aspects only and does not consider economic parameters of the business unit. Now, this concept was very nice, but it also had some loopholes, it also had some drawbacks. And what was the drawback? Major drawback, that it focused only on the psychological part, means it focused only on managing the men's employees, making them happy. But what about the other aspects like social, economical, or cost of productivity, sales cost, traveling cost, etc. So some believe that human relation cannot maintain the cost of products, and it is true that human making a man happy will not reduce your cost. So this was somewhat a major drawback of this approach. And then come the last one is that currently is following is thoughts on modern management. Thoughts on modern management. The format of industries and business unit again changed after 1960. First it started changing after the 19 at the end of 19th century, then it changed in 20th century, it changed after 1960. This demanded the need of special approach management, and this was the result that modern management came. It demanded the need of new principles of management. So management was not restricted to only business in industrial unit, but also included professional peoples and unit that provide professional services like that of taxation, law, medicine, etc. Over and above management thoughts for psychology, social studies, statistics, mathematics, and computers and information technology also emerged. The loopholes that we talked, the drawback that we talked about, the behavior related was covered over here. Other aspects than human behavior were included. Other than psychology, social study, statistics. Social study here means how to interact with society for business. Statistics, mathematics, computer, information technologies, other professional services like taxation, law, medicines. These were helpful and these were included in the modern management. Management gurus like Kunz O'Donnell, George R. Terry, Peter F. Drucker, C.K. Prasad, C.K. Prahlad, etc. were contributed in the thoughts of modern management. So that's all for this part. Next session we'll talk about the Frederick Taylor's principle of management, scientific management, how they came, what were this, what was rule of thumb, and all. For any doubt and other queries, fill down the comment section. Hope you guys understand. We'll be back soon. Happy learning.